Alrighty, so it's the 18th of the month, which means there's a new Jojolands chapter. In the last chapter, we were thrown headfirst into Act 2 of the Jojolands, where it seems the next arc is going to involve Usagi and his family, and the last chapter ends off with Jodio calling Rohan and asking about his knowledge of the lava rock. Starting off immediately, the gang is already on their way trying to track down Usagi's family. The entire rest of the group, Meryl May included, is just kind of hitting Usagi rapid fire with questions about his mom, about his sister, about where they could possibly be going to, and he just kind of starts freaking out because he just doesn't know the answers to any of these questions. There's a very funny interaction between Jodio and Usagi where Dragona, knowing full well that Jodio is a psychopath, kind of has to goat him into comforting Usagi while he's freaking out in the back seat. But eventually they find themselves at a house that belongs to a guy named Max, who seems to be supposedly a lover to Usagi's mom. Jodio and Usagi go up to the door to try and see if they can get somebody to answer for them, and Jodio looks through the window and sees that the kitchen is completely ruined. There's just broken plates and cups everywhere, and there seems to be a figure in a doorway. It looks like a guy with a cane. Guy with a cane. Huh. Guy with a cane. Wonder of you? But the guy with the cane quickly runs off, and they realize that the door is just open, so they go inside, and they see a guy in the living room laying on the couch with a gun next to him. A dead guy on the couch laying with a gun next to him because he shot himself, which only makes Usagi freak out even more because it turns out that his family isn't even in this house anymore. Usagi uses the Mate Kudasai to turn into a camera to try and track down where his family may have gone, and they're going in the direction of this big tree that goes off towards a zoo. And what I realized while I was reading, which is very interesting, this is kind of subtly hinting at kind of an evolution of Usagi's ability. When we were initially introduced to this character and his stand, there was a very clear rule set in place that somebody else has to ask him for the Mate Kudasai to turn into whatever item that they want. It has nothing to do with him and what he wants, but he's showing right here, nobody asked him to turn into the camera. That was all of his own volition, and I think that's a very powerful evolution for him, and I think the more he's able to do this, he can just kind of turn his stand into whatever he wants, and he become his own person, essentially. Editor Shmem here. So, much like the weekly manga reader that I am, I have a tendency of not reading the thing that's directly in front of me, and I double-checked to see if the last statement that I made here in the video was right, and there's a panel of Meryl May telling Usagi to go check the nearby traffic cameras, and I think that can be interpreted as her activating the power for him. So anyway, that's all I had. Moving on. Usagi takes a moment to kind of trauma dump on the group and talk about himself and his relationship between him and his mom. He talks about how he had a crush on a guy from another school, and because of that, his mom sent him to a correctional institution, and that is where this very large gap in him and his mom's relationship came from, and despite that, he's still tracking them down like crazy to keep them safe. But after that, the scene transitions to, I want to say this is kind of time travel back to whenever Jodio calls Rohan while they're still in Meryl May's office. And the conversation that they have is very interesting. The way that Rohan explains just how the lava rock works and how it moves money towards it. So the way that he puts it is very compelling to me, where it's the larger the amount of money, the heavier it feels. And the way that Jodio kind of interprets that is what they are dealing with now, the thing with Usagi's family, that is $300,000, and what they got from Howler is $5 billion, some crazy amount of money. And his interpretation is that this 300,000 is a chunk of the funds that they got from Howler slowly making its way towards them. At least that's my interpretation. But after that, we cut back and they are at the zoo, and Usagi is full bonkers crazy mode. He sees a stick and just starts saying, "This is her cane, this is my sister's cane." And they have to tell him, no, that's a stick. Usagi walks over to a security guard asking if they've seen these two people and shows him a picture of his family on his phone. The guard points out that they were going towards the alligator garden around 5 minutes ago, so they seem to be hot on the trail. But then it turns out that the security guard was actually a ghost or a hallucination or something. It's not explained quite yet, of course, because, I mean, it's still setting up, but it's actually like a hallucination or a ghost of the dead guy on the couch in the house. This could be Max, I think. This was a huge, like, oh shit moment turn page where there's a panel where it's just Usagi there, and he's just getting injured by nothing. And then we go back, and there's still this guy behind Usagi who isn't actually there. And then he gets tossed into the alligator garden, it seems. He gets dragged in, and that's where the chapter is left off. This stand is absolutely horrifying, and I don't even know really what to think of it. So what I've enjoyed doing through my time reading this is kind of seeing the similarities that other existing stands from other parts have. Bag's Groove, that felt very Lovers a little bit from part 3. In the case of the last arc with like the Ningbo's stand and Lame Shebang and Key West, I couldn't quite pinpoint any similarities that other stands could have had, and I think this one I have a few guesses. It seems very both Limp Bizkit and Underworld from part 6, but it also has like a Ghost Alley aspect to it where it seems like a ghost or something that will just kind of fuck with you and provoke you until you turn around, and that act of turning around lets it actually attack you. I think the mystery of this arc is really going to be who's the stand user for the longest time. I think this stand is really going to terrorize the group without them having to really know who the user is, and since it's a ghost and since it's invisible, the rest of the group isn't going to be able to see what Usagi is saying, and I imagine that's going to pass itself to other people, and they're all just going to go crazy and nobody's going to see what each other is saying. We also could be dealing with two different stand users again. I so far don't see a correlation between whatever quote-unquote stand ability may have taken Usagi's mom and sister. I see no correlation between that stand, if it is a stand ability, and this like, I don't even know, because it's like a hallucination, or it's using the trauma of seeing a dead guy on a couch. But no, I love this. I love this chapter. I love part 9. I am so excited every month to read a new chapter. This gives me mad Underworld vibes, I think, more so than Limp Bizkit. Limp Bizkit was more, invisible zombies. This seems more memories being brought from the earth type stuff, like what Underworld was doing. But it's something different. It's definitely going to be something completely different, and probably like nothing we have seen quite yet. We also got the name for Howler's stand. It is Eclipse 8. I had to make sure that was true. I saw it on Twitter first, and I don't believe anything you see on Twitter. The namesake seems to be Eclipse, the Pink Floyd song, or Eclipse, the Journey album. Those are the guesses. And then 8, because the letter H is the 8th letter of the alphabet, and Haka's whole thing has been H. So that's cool. The description is really silly, where it's like, I don't know, it shows up in a mist, and it has an ability that uses some kind of energy. We'll probably talk about it more later. So, Araki just playing funny little games with us. Tomorrow is the first episode of Steel Ball Run, so I cannot wait to see that. But besides that, it's just kind of the regular waiting game stuff. Wait Sunday for Sakamoto, wait Monday for Dandadan, and I'm gonna be really upset on Tuesday probably, so can't wait for that to happen.